2 years ago, my son was diagnosed with a tongue tie. He was really uncomfortable. His midline was really tight, cried, screamed, all in the car seat anytime he wasn't being held. So we decided to choose to get the fascial frenectomy. After the fascial frenectomy, it was an immediate change. We had no more crying in the car seat. We could put him down and actually move around without having to hold him, and he was so much more comfortable. I highly recommend working with Flourish and Ke Kino for a joint bodywork frenectomy process to make sure that you are doing the holistic approach to this process for your baby and your family. My name is Chanel Hogue. I live in Dallas, Texas, and our son Hendricks got his frenectomy when he was around 11 or 12 weeks. I was very overwhelmed and a little bit afraid when they told us that Hendricks needed the frenectomy, simply because we try to not mess with our babies. We don't want to do any sort of procedures that are really not necessary. And so we did a lot of other things to try to support with the release, but his body just wasn't responding well to that. And it was clear that he actually needed that procedure. So once we decided to do it, I was obviously very afraid. I was very emotional, but I'm ultimately really glad that we made the decision to do it. What made me say yes to the fascial frenectomy was really that I had a team of providers who all worked together and who were willing to allow me to try a lot of the more manual therapies prior to the frenectomy. And then also knowing that the team that I worked with to do some of those manual therapies ahead of time was going to be the same team that supported me through it. So that was really comforting, that I wasn't just walking into an office of people who I never met before, people who didn't know each other, and really supported me through that process too, because I think it was just as difficult for me as I believe that it probably was for my son. So having my body worker there supporting doing the body work that we've been doing leading up to the moment to do the frenectomy, was there doing that and supporting my son through the actual procedure with Dr. Ingram. It was very, very comforting, and it gave me confidence in the team that they knew where I stood as a parent, and they also were going to make sure that my child was doing all the right things so that this procedure was actually going to be effective long term. The results were pretty immediate and astounding. I didn't believe that it was going to look like that, but every time that he got in the car from basically birth, because he was so tight in his midline, he would cry and scream. And we had to do a lot of driving because our kids at the time were in school. And so we were in the car a lot. And every single time he was in the car or wasn't being held, he was screaming. And he screamed on the way to the appointment. And that just gave me a ton of anxiety. I couldn't relax because he wasn't relaxed. And immediately, once we got into the car after the procedure, he slept the entire way home. And so I took full advantage of that. We went to the grocery store. We did a lot of things that same day. I don't even know what to do with myself because I'm not trying to rush from place to place because he's screaming his head off. His body was immediately relaxed and comfortable to just be in a position that he was very uncomfortable being in because his midline was so tight. What surprised me the most about the fascial frenectomy was really how effective it was so quickly. I figured and I assumed that it was going to take a little bit of time for him to really adjust to his procedure, but he responded to it immediately. My experience working with the Flourish team and Ke Kino was very, very positive. We still keep in touch with both providers through this last pregnancy that I had. Their ability to work together as a team and approach this procedure in a very holistic manner was very, very positive for us. It gave me a lot of hope that not everything that we're doing is so medical, trying to push all of these things on our kids, but they're doing it from a way that's actually going to help the nervous system of the kid as it goes through this procedure that can be a little bit traumatizing for them. I really appreciate the Ke Kino team for working with us and preparing our baby's body for the procedure and not just saying, okay, we're going to do it, let's go do it today. And I also appreciate the Flourish team and just how comforting they were, and also how well they followed up with us after the procedure was done to make sure that our son Hendricks was responding well to it, and if something else needed to be addressed, that we could address that within a timely manner.